Hey, it's Kristina Shea, and welcome to the Kristina Shea Show. AI meets ambition and impact, powered by WomenUp. Let's talk about the future of work, leadership, and society itself, because AI isn't just changing tools, it's changing power. So the question is, are you leading it or watching it happen? And if this sparks something in you, lean in. You're part of the conversation now. Well, welcome to the Kristina Shea Show, powered by WomenUp, where AI meets ambition and impact. Welcome, Marianne Meed Ward. I just want to share a little bit of a bio about you and your work if people are not familiar with you. I'm a huge fan, but Marianne Meed Ward is the 29th mayor of Burlington and a bold community-driven leader, redefining what modern municipal leadership looks like. Since taking office in 2018, she has led Burlington through meaningful growth and transformation, championing responsible development, protecting the character of the city, and ensuring residents are heard, not just heard, but actively shaping its future. Her leadership has strengthened public trust, elevated civic engagement, and positioned Burlington as a city that leads with intention and one of the best cities, in my opinion, in Canada, and maybe the world next. With a background in journalism and communications, Marianne brings clarity, transparency, and a deep connection to people to every decision she makes. She is Burlington's longest-serving female mayor and currently serves as chair of the Ontario Big City Mayors Caucus, representing municipalities that account for nearly 70% of Ontario's population, helping shape critical conversations around housing, infrastructure, and the future of our communities. And now, through her Elect Respect initiative, she is leading something even bigger, a movement to bring civility, accountability, and respect back into public life, while creating space for more voices, especially women, to step forward and lead. Welcome again, Marianne Meed Ward.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here and talk about, really it's about the foundation of our democracy and how we protect it and move it forward.
Yes, and I'm wearing the pin, Elect Respect, and I love this. This is a movement. We'll talk about this later and how to sign up, but take the pledge. And this is really huge. I mean, I think there's been such a change in the way people engage with each other in that conversation. But first, I wanted to just sort of touch base, really, because you have built such a strong and steady path into public service, and that journey often shapes how leaders show up today. And what first prompted you to enter into public service and then run for mayor?
I, as you noted in your bio, I was a journalist prior. So trained at Carleton University, got my start in print, then started working in radio and television, had my own business for a number of years. I had my own column in The Sun. I was a sought after panelist, speaker on a range of topics. And, when I look back now and when I sometimes describe that to people, they're like, you were paid for your opinion. What could be better than that, right? Yes, I was actually. I was paid to give opinions about things, and informed, of course, but paid to do that. And I hit a certain point in my life where I was thinking about the future and what comes next, and really thinking about, is that what I want to continue to do? Is really try to tell other people what they should be doing, or do I want to get in there and try to do it myself? And I realized that my passion had shifted from talking about the issues to really getting involved and making a difference on the issues. And that coincided with a municipal election here in Burlington. That was 2006. We had just moved to Burlington, so I wasn't well known. I wasn't born here. Our family chose this city, and I can talk all day about why. It is the best city in the world, I think. And so I ran for municipal election against an incumbent, and I lost that election. And it's really important to talk about our successes as well as where we feel like we didn't hit what we set out to do. I don't call it a failure because I learned. And one of the biggest things I learned was this was really for me. I loved knocking on doors, talking to people, hearing their thoughts about what they would do to make the city better. And I also discovered that a lot of people didn't really know back then what was going on at the city, how they could get involved and make a difference. They would often read about decisions after they were made in the local paper. And I thought, I'm a communicator, so I can do something about that. I started a website, started a newsletter online, and then just stayed involved in community. I ran again in '07 for provincial politics. I also learned, I didn't win then either, also running against an incumbent. This is a pattern that you will see. But I learned something in that election too, that I didn't love partisan politics, party-based politics. What I really liked was just being able to say, it's me and my platform. So what you see is what you get. This is what I stand for. This is what I believe in. This is what I can do for you. You're not burdened down by, party divisions or, decisions that have been made by a party that you had nothing to do with. And so that was a clarifying moment. And then in 2010, there was another municipal election. I ran against an incumbent again. That time I won. So that started my journey, and 2018 ran for mayor. Reasons were very similar. I just felt like I could serve the community better in this way than staying as their councillor. Ran against an incumbent mayor at the time and won. So that's the theme. Incumbents, you can lose to incumbents. You can also beat incumbents. And, if that's your passion and your dream, I encourage people to just take hold of it and go. There's no failure. There's you learn something and you grow no matter what.
I think that's a great answer. And that's really speaking to perseverance, resilience, and grit. And if you really believe in what you stand for and your message, I think it's so important, especially for female leaders, to push through that. And it's always a learning in everything that you do. And I think if you don't fail, you don't learn anything, and you certainly don't learn how to get back up. And I think that's something that everyone can learn, no matter what age. But I also am curious because we've been talking about elect respect, and you have mentioned a lot about young people going into politics. But I wanted to reflect on, if you could go back and talk to your 9-year-old version of Marianne Meed Ward, what advice would you give her in general in life, maybe leadership, and what sort of message would you give to her?
I really think it's about following your passion, discovering what you're passionate about. And sometimes that takes some failures or you don't achieve the goal that you've set out to do. And when my kids were young and I would go into their school, they had signs up. And one of the signs that I will never forget is the word fail. And it was an acronym for first attempt in learning. And that's really how I see what that word should mean to all of us. It's an attempt at learning. And so I would say to my 9-year-old self, what I would say to my adult self is, don't be afraid to have a first attempt in learning. Don't be afraid of that. Wrestle with the different thoughts and passions that you have to kind of narrow it down to what truly gets you out of bed in the morning, and follow your joy, follow those things that make you passionate. And, my whole life and career, I've done that. I loved to write as a young child. I was much more introverted, by the way, as a kid.
Really?
Yes. But I loved drama, the dramatic arts, that arts and culture sector. So I did a lot of drama, and I think that really helped to give me the courage that you need to speak in front of groups and to be a spokesperson and to kind of put yourself out there. So that can be a really helpful skill. And that's not often one that you think about, when you hear about people that go into elected office. It's you're a lawyer or you're an accountant, and those are really important skills. You're a business person. All of that, great, important. We need that. And we need people, especially now, with good ability to communicate, with good ability to connect. So there's a lot more a variety of skills that would be beneficial to elected office.
I can't agree more. Communication is like the most important skill I think anybody can have, to relay your message, but also to have buy-in, but to get people to rally behind whatever that mission is. So, and my daughter is into drama as well. And then later in life, I got into dance and so on. So I really feel like being on stage, you can, develop a different persona, but then it starts to become part of your DNA and you become more confident with the reps. So I think that's so important. And I love the word fail. Like, what was that again? First
attempt in learning.
I love that.
Yeah.
My daughter and I have another one. I don't know if I should say it, but it's SHIT.
Yeah.
But it's superhero in training.
Love it.
Yeah. So because you go through a lot of that, and we've been through some ups and downs, but I think resilience and persistence is key. And I really wanted to, and that goes into, I think, the conversation about elect respect, because it does take a lot of perseverance and resilience to deal with some of the communication, that you receive as an elected official. But also, I think any woman in leadership has a different type of, I don't know, uh, it's just a different type of communication that you hear, and it's like often not positive.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious too, because you've been leading this important initiative, and it really struck me when I heard it, because I was like, right away, I resonated
Mm-hmm.
with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think women from all walks of life experience some level of disrespect. I'm going to be honest. And I know it's not just women, it's also minorities and racial and vulnerable communities. But as a woman in leadership, I was more curious, like, this is a very timely discussion, but what initially prompted you to launch
Mm-hmm.
Elect Respect?
Well, I really love to support other people. I've been a mentor, a teacher in my career, but also in my personal life. And when I became mayor the second time, there were a number of new faces around the table at Halton Region, new trustees, new regional councilors, a new mayor in Halton Hills who was a woman. And I thought, I've benefited from learning from other women, and maybe we can convene a group of us to get together and just share what we know, learn from each other, learn from the new people, because that's a really important, good perspective, the people who've been around for a long time. And so I convened what I call the Her Halton Coffee Clatch, Halton elected representatives who are women. It's an acronym. I love my acronyms. So Her Halton, and we get together a couple of times a year and just share what it's like to be a woman in elected office. What are the challenges? How do you deal with this? And it's really intended to be supportive of each other. Everyone who's an elected official, from trustee up to cabinet minister, is invited to participate. And we always get a good turnout. There's about 25, 30 that come. And at one of our meetings, we were talking about the challenges of being a woman in elected office. And someone asked the question, okay, well, if you were trying to encourage somebody to run, would you encourage your daughter? Would you encourage somebody that you know? What would you talk about? And there was a time in my life where I would have not hesitated at all. Yes, this is the best. You can see every day the things that you've been involved with, the decisions you've made that have made a difference for the better in your community. That's why you do it. That public service piece, that fills me with joy and gets me out of bed in the morning. But we all kind of sat back and thought about it. We hesitated because of the toxicity that has become all too common for elected representatives as a whole. Men get this too, but also particularly for women and diverse communities. And I will say they get it in a different way, in a much more vile, personal way. So it's, women get threats of rape. People of color get comments related to the color of their skin or go back home, these kinds of things that are different in their nature. They're very personal and they go to the essence of who you are. Threats to your family. So different in nature than the kinds of threats that others get. And so as we sat and every, talked about it, every single person had a story. Everyone. And then we kind of sat back and kind of realized what had just been revealed to us. Everybody has a story. This is not just me suffering on my own. And so we said, okay, what are we going to do about it? So that's when the pledge was created, that we can lead by example. That is one thing we can do. I might not be able to change other people, but I can change myself. I can say that I'm going to be respectful of others when we disagree. I'm going to treat others with respect. I'm going to call it out when I see people not being treated respectfully. I'm going to stand with them to support them, call on authorities to take appropriate steps, and really change the conversation around elected office. That, you've heard it described as a blood sport, and kind of it's a blood sport, as if this is just to be expected.
It's not the UFC.
It is not. And I say to people, I'm your mayor, not your punching bag. And I shouldn't have to choose between my personal safety and public service.
Absolutely.
Nobody should. And so that's how Elect Respect was born. And we realized when we started it that so many people, it resonated with so many people and well beyond the elected sphere. People in business, and that's where you've picked it up through the chamber, the BIAs, people in any kind of customer-facing career or profession, they all feel it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, how many times have you walked into your doctor's office, or, you know, I pull up at the fast food window and there's a sign saying, we will not tolerate abuse and we won't serve you if you're going to harass our people. This is now commonplace. So it tells you the scope of the challenge that we're up against. And I think that's why it's resonated across the country, coast to coast to coast. We have people signing on, interested, supporting this movement that we can disagree, but we shouldn't be disagreeable, or worse, nobody should have to put their personal safety at risk to be involved in public service.
That is so well said. And it resonates, I think, with so many women as well. I mean, it trickles down from leadership. So if you're leadership or you're elected officials, we can look to other areas in the world where maybe that is not reflected. There is no respect. There is no empathy or kindness in the words, let alone their actions. And it really does come from leadership. So if we're starting with this at the top with our elected officials, from whether it's nationally, with provincially, or in our own communities, in our own backyard, it's so important for women in particular, I'm going to say, to feel safe, to feel heard, and, to be able to say this, out loud, I think, because I always talk about the power of shame and the power of silence. And that is something that we need to eliminate and have an open dialogue and bring, I would say men, yes, because that is part of the conversation, to have respect. Like I had just met a mayor just on the weekend, and I posted a picture, and then I got a lot of backlash, and I'm going to say they were not from women. They were from the other, and it was very negative, and it was very scary. And so I just put the hashtag elect respect, and that was the end. But at the end of the day, it's frightening to me that people think that they can use and troll behind, social media. And now we have AI. Which, I'm very much about AI ambition and impact, and it can accelerate so much good in the world. But it also, if it's not used, with governance or with just this proper civility, really. I was just curious in terms of that. Have you thought about how AI is, impacting not only Burlington, but even the Elect Respect initiative, and how you feel that might be framed or governed, or how you could, just put this out to the world that we can use AI in a responsible way?
It really is like any tool. It can be used for good or ill. It depends on whose hands the tool is in and what their intentions are. And that is for us to then, those of us who want to use the tools well, to show how it's done and to call out when it's used in a way that is destructive to people, to our humanity, to democracy. And one of the things that we're increasingly seeing that's affecting elected officials is the use of bots.
Yes.
Right. And I've been botted, if that's a verb. And the most recent example was when we had a discussion in Ontario about speed cameras. And the province gave us the ability to put speed cameras in various locations. We were about to embark on that journey in Burlington. We'd studied where most needed. We picked 6 school sites where speeding was terrible. And we thought this would be a great use of this technology because it makes speeders pay, not taxpayers, because all of our other traffic calming measures to date had been borne by the taxpayer, whether you sped or not. And then, of course, the province changed course, removed that ability from us. And through that whole conversation, through the Ontario Big City Mayors Caucus, I organized a number of mayors outside of the caucus, individually. Anybody that is concerned about this, let's write to the Premier. And so we really tried to make the case that this was a wrong move. And we've seen this government change course from time to time when presented with a response from community that this isn't the right way to go. They didn't do that this time. But as I was writing about this and really trying to galvanize support and make the case that, if there are concerns about how it's being used or the thresholds of speed, all of that, like we can fix it. So we were, we've heard you, Premier, we can fix this. Don't take it away entirely. I was getting anonymous threats, comments from all over North America, from fake accounts. As far away as Texas. Who knew they cared about speed cameras in Burlington? But, it actually, I had never experienced anything like it over that kind of an issue. Like, we're not talking about an international conflict, which you can get, some of that kind of global response, if you talk about it. This was speed cameras. And through that process, actually, I had really, people who are more knowledgeable about AI, knowing how to spot even what is a fake account or what isn't a real account. And so it happened a lot on Facebook. So you'd go into like, who is this person? And, there's no posts. The picture is just a screen grab from something online. There's, very sketchy details about it. Like that's a tell, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so educating people about how to identify that. But there was a lot of that. So a lot of the backlash was from those fake accounts, which I now know to be bots. So somebody decided that this was worth, just sending an army after me to stop talking about speed cameras. So it was very, very odd. But that's where democracy now is at risk, because if you think those are real people as an elected official, then you want to listen to your community, you want to hear what they have to say, but it's not real people.
It's not really, it can shift the sentiment of others.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest danger I feel. It's like now, Meta has to put some real firewalls and guardrails in. I don't know if that will happen, but I feel this is really integral, that people really just don't believe what they read or see. Obviously these days, everything is deep fake and all these bots and swarms of agents. But I think there is so much potential for AI for good. So you're right, absolutely, to your point. It has to be positioned well, but we do have to have strong governance and strategy. And I think elect respect, and it really comes down to human first. We really have to educate everyone. Okay, even if you're having a bad day, don't take it out on somebody else. And I don't feel that taking it out. I feel like women do bear the brunt of this in such an intimate way that men do not. So I also feel like men, let's work together, because this is our community. When women thrive, communities thrive, children thrive, and there's so much potential if we just learn to respect and be empathetic and kind for each other. So I love these pins, and I just want to encourage everyone to go get one, whether you're in Burlington or not. They're such I love the icon too, because I think it's a heart.
It's a shield, actually, like
shield,
like a protective shield with a check mark for checking the ballot, and in the shape of a heart for care and compassion. Yeah, so it's
yes, I think the design is wonderful, and I think the whole premise of it is amazing. And I just wanted to know, because it's spread all across Canada, has it spread down into the United States, or
there are some individual signatories, but not as municipal councils. But we've had councils from Vancouver Island to Newfoundland that have signed on to this, as well as candidates, as well as businesses, Ontario-based, locally based, different boards. It has really resonated with people, and there's two sides of that coin. On the one side, it's resonated because everyone has a story, and that breaks my heart.
Yes,
because when we launched this, people approached me and they said thank you, and then they would tell me their story, and it's heartbreaking and unnecessary, and there's a lot of pain there. But the other side, the good side, is that people do feel that they're not alone, right? And they now feel empowered that you don't have to accept this.
yes,
You don't have to accept it at work. You don't have to accept this as an elected official. You can say, enough, I'm here to serve, and I deserve a safe workplace and to be treated like a human being with respect. And I will in turn lead by example and treat you with respect when we disagree. And it's such a simple concept. And yet we have so far to go to achieve that in all of those spheres: politics, business, community service, all of that. I've met people who have a story of where that fell short, and they're happy to be part of the movement, to sign themselves up to say, I'm going to be about this. And if we get enough of that, which again, it's growing across the country, which is amazing, then it just creates a counter groundswell to push back on that toxicity and that disrespect.
I think this is important from schools, like teaching it right in schools. Anti-bullying, we talk about this, but yet meanwhile we're bullying each other as adults. So I think from ground up, and as I said before, from leadership down, it goes into the household too. So not even just in the workplace, but then you take that home, to your spouse, to your family, and treating each other with love, compassion, and care. So I think this is a whole ecosystem to look at it as a holistic thing. And I'm just so, I'm just so, when I, this so much resonated with me in particular, but as you said, everybody has a story. And when everybody feels supported and they can elevate together, and then also having that sense of accountability, because we all do have bad days and maybe we're like, snap even at our loved ones. And sometimes just having that self check, like, wait a minute, I don't want to be treated like that. And that ripples into everything, the ripple of impact, right? So I really think this is such an amazing initiative. So how are you keeping this initiative going? Is there events or educational events or webinars or anything that people can watch and sort of, include in their, whether it's at school or in their workplace or maybe in office, particularly in municipalities, et cetera?
Well, this has grown so exponentially so quickly that the stay tuned on that. This is right now I'm spreading the word through
Yes.
podcasts like this, do a lot of media interviews. I go to speaking, go to conferences online or in person. I just came back from a couple of engagements last week, and so that it's spreading awareness first and really getting people to commit to the pledge. But I will put in a plug for some other organizations that are really doing that work. I don't want to duplicate the wheel. Uh, and to mix my metaphors, I don't the Association of Municipalities of Ontario has what's called the Healthy Democracy Project, and I sit on the AMO board. We've been working very closely. So ElectRespect is different, but we are collaborating. So the Healthy Democracy Project is something they started to identify. Why don't we get more women running? And because, over across the board at all levels of government, still about 30% of elected representatives are women. It's a little higher federally, provincially, and trustee level, but it's a lot lower at the municipal level. Only about 20% of mayors across this country are women. So it is still a place where women are not represented in the way similar to their population in society. And when you look at diverse communities, to us LGBTQ, people of color, even worse.
Yeah.
And they also face special challenges. And so the Healthy Democracy Project set out to let's identify what the challenge is, and then let's put together some resources. So when I'm asked that question, I refer people to AMO, and there are other organizations across the country that are doing this too. So part of the work that, the next step for ElectRespect is to really make sure that people know that those exist. And then as we look at those, is there more that can be done? Are there any gaps in resources? We really want to support people, and not just in elected office. Those are tools for people in elected office. But how do we support people in the workplace? How do we support people, the many people that, on boards, for example, that have joined the movement because they really just want to have a respectful city, a respectful board, a respectful workplace, all of that.
Yeah, I can't agree more with that. And you brought up a good point, because I did want to raise this, because you had said, you were hesitant about suggesting, to your daughters whether they should go into office. But it's so important that, the leadership reflects the community that they serve.
Yep.
And if we have over 50, I think it's over 50% of women, but it's at least 50% of women that are in Canada, let alone in Burlington, we do need to create a safe environment. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. And I think it's time. So it's time for something like this. And I can't agree more. So this kind of ElectRespect initiative, I think, is so key to help and support young women to feel that they can be that. And if young girls don't see leaders that are women or look like them, they're going to be more hesitant to go into that, right? So it's so important in all sectors, whether it's, office or STEM or actually any leadership position whatsoever. So I think this is so key, because it'll transcend really everywhere. So, but I did want to also just talk about WomenUp, just very quickly. I'm not going to go into great details about it, but it is an initiative where I have created specifically to help support women to adopt AI and also enter leadership positions or support women who are in leadership as a community. And I brought this up, actually, ElectRespect, and they were like, wow. And as you said, everybody had a story from an unsafe workplace environment to, whatever initiative they're doing, especially in the technology field. So it's something that really transcends, as I said, against every single sector. And but I also, what I think is so important about elect respect is that Burlington is. I mean, I'm from Oakville originally, and I love Oakville, but Burlington is my home now. And this originated here, and this is only going to add to making Burlington one of the greatest, I think, the greatest city in Canada. I'm on the board of directors in Burlington, as you know, for the Chamber of Commerce, and we developed a strategic plan. And a big part of that was me was like, okay, we don't want to just be one of the premier cities. I want to be the best city. So people are like, oh, that's a bit audacious. And I'm like, I really believe in big, hairy goals. So I was like, so that became part of our strategic plan. And I loved that you upped the game to have an aspiration to be the best city in the world. Because if you don't have big goals, at least if you shoot for the, the moon, you'll land in the stars kind of thing.
Yep.
So, I mean, how do you feel this elect respect now also, weaves into all of that? Best city in Canada, maybe aspiring to be best city in the world.
Well, it really does. It's one more thing that puts us on the map. And Burlington has always been a community that has achieved beyond what a regular, normal, mid-sized community in Ontario or Canada would achieve. We're known in many respects across the country for a number of reasons. We have amazing athletes like Victoria Mboko and Renata Fast and Emily Malte, our gold medal winning and silver medal winning hockey players.
Yes.
We have, I could go on all day about all of the people that have studied or worked in our community that have really succeeded on a world stage. So we have incredible people in our community, and this initiative, which is getting noticed across the country and is putting Burlington on the map once again. But that's a place we've been before, right? And so it really is, we're the little city that could, not so little anymore. We're the mid-sized city, but we have achieved incredible things. And I think part of our secret sauce is that we're a community that stands by each other. That's in our crest. That's our motto, is stand by. And we do that. We do that through our community organizations, our charitable groups. We do that through this initiative. And so the fact that it's caught on and it started here is not a surprise to me, because that's in our DNA here in Burlington, and it's in our DNA in Halton that we look out for each other and we say there can be a better way, and we'll lead the way for others and break that new ground. And it's happened in so many spheres: business, arts, politics. Now through this movement, it is Burlington being Burlington and doing great things.
I love that. That's so amazing. And I feel like, yeah, attracting, retaining a talent and all that, it'll only contribute to that because, as you said, it's the elected office, the workplace. And, it's, to me, Burlington is the best place to live, work, and raise a family.
Yep.
So, yeah, this really weaves really well into that. And I'm going to kind of get to the end of this because I know you have a busy schedule. But I'm going to encourage everyone to sign up for Elect Respect. We'll get to that in a moment. But if you had to sum up WomenUp, the term WomenUp, when you hear that phrase, what 3 words would come to mind?
Well, supportive, encouraging, and mentoring. It really is about supporting women, giving them a hand up, promoting them, which is another way to give them a hand up, and really it's about women helping women, but it isn't just women. You talked earlier about the real value in men coming alongside, and I've benefited from that my whole career. I certainly elect respect. We've had some incredible male supporters and allies that have come along, and they say what needs to be said around women getting it worse, and people will hear it from them, and so they need to step into that space and say what only they can say to community and be supportive. So helping women is all of our responsibility. And, when you help everyone in your community to do better, we all do better.
I can't agree more. And I'm going to shout out Burlington Dads because he's a great example, Chris, of really elevating women. He's a girl dad, but having the space here while I'm in transition. So I think it's so important. And there's so many great men out there, and we want allies, we want advocates. And as you said, when a woman thrives, we all rise together and a community thrives, and Burlington thrives. And I'm going to wrap it up with, if you had to describe elect respect in 3 words, what would those be?
elect good people to run and stay in office. Respect is the key to that, and democracy is what's at stake.
Yes, so true. So, and how can everyone sign up for Elect Respect? What website do they go to?
Electrespect.ca.
And will they get one of these pins?
Yes.
I'm going to show off the pins.
Let us know if you need a pin. We do have them available. So sign the pledge and let us know you signed the pledge. Promote it online. Share it on your boards that you sit on. Share it in your communities, and wear the pin. I wear it every day.
Yeah, I now I'm going to wear this every day now that I have a new one. And if you're part of my WomenUp community, I will get you one of these as well. I have a whole treasure trove of them now. And if I run out, I will get more, or you can contact Marianne Meed Ward's office. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time. You are a huge inspiration for so many, including myself, and really helping Burlington thrive to be its best. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
If this sparked something in you, don't ignore it. The future isn't something we wait for. It's something we step into. Thank you for being here, for being part of the conversation, and for choosing to lead in what comes next. This is the Kristina Shea Show, AI meets ambition and impact, powered by WomenUp. I'll see you next time.